This play right here, craziest thing I ever seen. How do you dunk on somebody, then celebrate, and then as you celebrate, you purposely boom this nigga in the head, causing a concussion? This dude is crazy. Yo, what it is, what it ain't, YouTube. It's your boy MJT coming at you with another banger reaction video, man. Let's get it, let's go. My bad, hit the damn mic. Yes, sir, man. We finna react, bro. I ain't react in a minute, bro. It's been like a week. I ain't gonna fake it to you. It's been like a week. I've been grinding on other stuff. Still kind of trying to grind on her too. Yeah, ain't too much hyping in the basketball except Joel Embiid still ain't play for the 76ers. You got a lot of so-called playoff teams, 1-3, 1-4, and all that type of stuff. And you got the bad teams actually balling. It's kind of crazy right now in the NBA, man, to start the season. So, man. But yes, sir, man, we finna react to top 10 scariest players of all time. Now, when you think of the scariest players, do you think of somebody that's feared or somebody that looks scary? Somebody that looks scary is Dennis Rodman. Now, somebody that's probably feared is Charles Oakley. So it like you gotta define scariest, who looks scary, who is scary. I don't know. Who feared, I don't know. But we finna get into the video, man. I'm gonna stop chatting. Let's get into it. Yes, sir, man.
Today's list is a rather interesting one, as we're looking at the top 10 scariest players in NBA history. And in this video specifically, I'm not talking about how they intimidated opponents with their basketball greatness. No, the quality of their play will not matter in this scenario. But I'm talking about the kind of person they are, the things they did on and off the court. Their frame, their attitude, and their intensity are all things that are being factored in. And there's a lot of different candidates, and
I think he probably the most. Him and I think he's probably the most fair player because he can back them up. He can back his fairness up, if that even is that a word? I don't know. But he can back it up. Niggas don't mess with him outside the court. Dudes ain't gonna mess with him on the court. He that guy. I ain't gonna fake it.
I have a very long honorable mentions list. So please, let me know in the comment section below if you agree or disagree with my choices.
Where I come from,
and it's also worth noting that a few of the players on the list are actually still active within the NBA, and some of them you can go see with your own eyes. That's why today's video is brought to you by Seas, and online compare promo from across Reddit.
I use it too.
For $20 off, make sure you Dennis Rodman. Sure, he was one of the greatest rebounders and greatest defensive players of all time.
He was crazy.
But this guy was also a pest, as they often referred to him as Dennis the Menace. If there was an altercation going down on the court, he was usually involved. And not only was Rodman extremely different for that time, but he was also extremely unpredictable, which added to his level of intimidation on the court. Later in his career, he put on tons of muscle, and was not only an athletic freak, but was incredibly strong as well. And earlier in his career, he was a member of the bad boy Detroit Pistons, and had plenty of instances where he caused physical abuse to guys like Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen, who would go on to be his future teammates. Ultimately, he might not be the scariest person on the list, but I do think he was just intimidating enough for a top 10 spot. Number 9, Draymond Green. Green has a lot of things in common with Dennis Rodman.
Man, he got a take in the first game of the season this year. Like, he just don't stop. He just don't stop. He just don't learn. How many times do you have to get tossed out the game or get a take, bro, before you ruin your team's chances, bro? It's like, bro, I just hope, man, sooner or later he just grows up and just feel like, man, I can't keep doing this to my team, bro. I can't. They need you. You the sole defender on your team at this moment. So if you get tossed out, the Warriors go to for real, especially on defense. Just like when Steph Curry goes out, which he went out recently with an ankle injury, the offense is trash. So it's like, man, y'all got to stay focused, man. Y'all got one goal
But
in
I
mind.
actually put Green just a little bit higher on the list, due mostly to the fact that he's known for some really, really bad blows, and some really nasty cheap shots. He might not put fear into his opponents with his basketball play, and with his general tough guy mantra, but he is unpredictable, and you don't know if he might step on your chest, put you in a stranglehold, or just whip around and love tap you in the face. Like I alluded to earlier, he's still active within the NBA currently, so he's got plenty of time to climb up the list. So go get him, Draymond. Number 8, Latrell Sprewell.
When you can choke out your coach, you definitely scared. Like, you don't care if you get suspended, get put off the team. He just didn't care. Did nobody mess with him.
This guy was a 4-time NBA All-Star, but that's probably not what he's going to be remembered for years to come, but rather for the decisions he made that put people in fear around him, like when he choked his head coach and dragged his body. Beyond that, he was frequently involved in altercations on the basketball court, and was known for his extremely explosive personality. He was a great player for sure, but unfortunately, that's far outweighed by his reputation of being an unstable player. Number 7, Charles Oakley. Back in the 1980s, this guy was known to be an intimidating enforcer, and for a while, he was the guy who was responsible.
This man still get into it with people, and he like 60-something years old. It was like a few years ago that he was getting into it like with security guard at the Knicks game and got put out. Dude, he got how old he is and not, he's still about that life. Even when he was part of the Big Three, was finna get into it with somebody. He don't care.
Responsible for protecting Michael Jordan. But whenever something was going down on the court and hands were being thrown, you could bet Charles Oakley was right in the middle of it, as it happened time and time again. This guy just couldn't stay out of trouble, whether it be during his NBA career or afterwards. And during his playing days, he got into some fights with Alonzo Mourning, Tony Delk, Charles Barkley, Xavier McDaniel, and Jeff McGinnis. Even after his playing career, he had a famous altercation in the stands at Madison Square Garden, so clearly he hasn't changed with age. Number 6, Xavier McDaniel. He's also an underrated player that many people have forgotten about, and I do remember his quality all-star athleticism. With that being said, this guy was always getting in physical altercations, like in his battle with Charles Oakley, and he even got into it with guys like Michael Jordan. This guy was quite the trash talker, and whenever something was going down on the court, he was also a dude who was always in the middle of it. But beyond that, it was the aggressive nature of his altercations that made him particularly scary, like the fact that he couldn't stop putting his hands on other dudes' throats, like in this iconic image where he's seen choking Wes Matthews. And then several years later, he tried the same crap on Juwan Howard. He's definitely a guy that you need to keep an eye on at all times if you're on the court with him.
Yeah, that dude sound like he crazy.
Number 5, Jerry Stackhouse.
Jerry Stackhouse, another guy.
This guy was an absolute bucket getter in the early 2000s, and for a while, I remember him challenging Allen Iverson and Kobe Bryant for the NBA scoring title. People remember that about him, and they also remember him being teammates briefly with Michael Jordan, and him being one of the players who didn't enjoy his time with MJ. But beyond that, he was actually a brawler, and someone who was frequently getting into fights with other players, sometimes on the opposing team, but sometimes on his own team as well. Like how he went to blows with Allen Iverson while they were both on the 76ers. He also got into it with guys like Jeff Hornacek, Christian Laettner, and Kirk Snyder. And he wasn't a guy who was very bashful.
This is kind of a suspect image. Why like y'all about to kiss each other? What is you doing? Jerry.
About it, as you can see him speaking boldly about it in this clip on ESPN. At the end of the day, he was one of those guys who always had that dog in him, as he had these numerous brutal altercations over a 10-year stretch. So again, he's definitely a guy that you wouldn't want to catch in a bad mood. Number 4, Bill Laimbeer.
This dirty mug, bro. He a dirty ass dude, bro. I don't think nobody feared him. He was just dirty.
On the defensive end, this guy was the face of the bad boy Detroit Pistons. And almost every time there was an altercation on the court, he was typically the guy that instigated it.
Dirty.
This guy reveled in his negative reputation, as he was often the most disliked player in the entire league. It even earned himself some nicknames like his Heinous and the Prince of Darkness. In Larry Bird's own words, he described him this way: his teammate Rick Mahorn would foul you hard, but Bill Laimbeer would try to hurt you. Laimbeer was always a guy who would sneak his feet under the jump shooter, or who would pummel a guy on his way to the rim. It is widely believed by many longtime basketball fans that it was his physical play that ultimately led the NBA to regulate the flagrant foul rule in the 1990 season. During that era, if you ever saw him on the other end of the court, then you best be assured that you're not getting through this game
the dirtiest
unscathed.
player of all time.
Number 3, Karl Malone.
Malone?
He was one of the greatest power forwards in the history of the league, as he was one of the most consistently dominant scorers that we've ever seen. Along with that, the mailman was one of the strongest players in league history, with his extremely intimidating 6'9" frame. He was a very physical player in the post, both offensively and defensively. And one of the biggest ways he got physical with the opponent was with his devastating elbows. He loved to swing his elbows around to clear out space, and oftentimes it resulted in some major damage for the opponent, like this insane blow to David Robinson that basically put him to sleep. He also had another insane blow to the Detroit Pistons' Isaiah Thomas, who described the blow by
that's why he was bleeding on my previous video,
saying it felt like he had been hit by a truck. And again, that's about all the stuff on the court. If we got into his stuff off the court, then he might just have to take the number 1 spot. Let's just say that this guy and this guy have something in common. Number 2, Ron Artest.
It's not. You talking about third? Scariest? Ron Artest. Did you not see Malice in the Palace? He had a documentary that came out years ago. Stuff they used to do to people. Now, you talking about third? This guy right here? Definitely should be number 1. He might not have the
most altercations out of all the guys on this list, but his made quite the statement and were of the extremely explosive nature. For example, in 2004, he was the star of the show in the Malice at the Palace, which literally changed the NBA with its insane nature, as he literally ran into the stands and was dishing it out to fans who admittedly deserved to get smacked around. Artest was also an extremely physical defensive player, and before Michael Jordan made his comeback with the Washington Wizards, he actually broke MJ's ribs in a scrimmage. And then, well, after he changed his name to Metta World Peace,
this play right here, craziest thing I ever seen. How do you dunk on somebody, then celebrate, and then as you celebrate, you purposely boom this nigga in the head, causing a concussion? This dude is crazy. Crazy.
Who can forget what he did to James Harden, which I still think Harden is recovering from. Because of just the explosive nature of this guy, and because of his insane strength, I think he was one of the most terrifying, erratic players on the court, as he was someone that you definitely didn't want to catch on a bad day. Number 1, Vernon Maxwell.
I heard about Vernon Maxwell. Him and Gary Payton back in the day got into it, and he was definitely trying to whoop his ass. Yeah.
I firmly believe that this guy securely deserves the number 1 spot. For goodness sake, his nickname was Mad Max, and it was very well deserved, as this guy got into altercations with just about everyone. Spectators in a crowd, opponents, teammates, and just the gravity of those disputes were incredibly insane. For example, he admitted with his own words that he nearly did this to Hakeem Olajuwon. For goodness sake, if this is what you've got for teammates, then who the hell needs enemies? As if that wasn't enough, in the year 2000, when he played for the Seattle Supersonics, he famously didn't get along with the team's leader, Gary Payton. Which I know, crazy right, that these two guys wouldn't get along. Eventually, Mad Max became so furious that he tried to attack Gary with a dumbbell in the locker room. And he was so—
Who does that? You literally try to flick harm on some people, kill some people. Like, why would you even try to fight him with a dumbbell? You try to, man, back in the day, boy.
Reckless and relentless about it, that he actually injured 2 of his teammates who were trying to stop him from getting to Gary. These are just the most extreme examples of his altercations with teammates. But believe me, it's far from the only examples of the numerous altercations he got into. When it comes to scary NBA players, this guy is indisputably the GOAT. Here's my list of honorable mentions. Should any of these players...
Yeah, Shaq, Charles Barkley, Kenyon Martin, he was a dog back then. Will Chamberlain, I don't know. Jokic, it's the Jokic brothers. That's who be causing a lot of trouble. Grayson Allen's just a dirty ass dude. He remind me of Bill Lambert, the stuff that he used to do. Gilbert Arenas? I guess because of that little incident that he had with the gun situation. Rasheed Wallace, I thought he'd be on this list. I definitely thought KG, I thought he'd be on this list too. Yeah, man.
Have made the list instead. I look forward to hearing your thoughts in the comment section below. Thanks for watching as always. Make sure to like and subscribe.
Yeah, man. What y'all think about this, bro? Vernon Maxwell to try to fight somebody with a dumbbell, then try to stab somebody, your own teammate? Disregard what I said about Ron. Ron Artest is number 2, definitely. But Vernon Maxwell, definitely number 1. Dumbbell, and you try to... Nah, you definitely got to take the number 1 spot. But yeah, man, this is the end of the video. Hope you like, comment, and subscribe. Comment down below what you want me to react to next. And I'm going to see y'all next time. Peace.